All right, guys and gals, real quick. My KD is down to 0.244. I changed my gamer tag to muadib001, so you guys who are wanting to friend me can find me. That one's unique. That should be good to go. The next thing I want you to see is this is an online stat following, and according to this, my KD is 0.48. But look at the individual stats. I'm doing a lot better than what Dice is telling me on their profile page. Also, got a lot of comments about what I should rename the channel. A lot of people said keep Seabear. That Seabear was cool. Had some great suggestions. I like the Navy Ranter, but at the end of the day, I threw them all past my family, and they like Sea Bear. My wife suggested the ranting Sea Bear, and I thought that was pretty good. But then when I started doing the artwork, the graphics, by the way, I'm not an artist. This is mostly AI created. I typed in the raging Sea Bear, and when it was all done, my wife's like, "I thought you were a ranting Sea Bear." And I'm like, "I think raging Sea Bear sounds cooler." So that artwork has been put up on the channel. Raging Sea Bear is going to be the new name of the channel. I'm not getting rid of Muad'Dib as my call sign. I've been Muad'Dib since 1984, and it's going to stay. First match, real quick. I actually had one of you guys joining me, and that was Mike Jr. He and I played this round, so you'll see some of that. Real quick, the reason why my KD is down is I played some, I don't know, you guys say it's not called ranked play, but real play, whatever you guys want to call it. I still call it ranked play. And I played the Clint Eastwood map. And a man's got to know his limitations. Well, my limitations is I got my ass handed to me on that map. 0 kills, 10 deaths on that map. I don't know the map. And, these people were brutal. And again, the wonderful basement dwellers started bad-mouthing me, saying that I sucked. To any Gen Zers out there, I'm going to have a video talking about generations, and I'm thinking that's going to be the next one. Where we're going to talk, everybody's, the Gen Zers are like, woe is me, that, the world sucks, and that they're getting the raw end of the deal. And I got news for you. Every generation has had a raw deal. Watching the gameplay real quick. I'm playing dirty, man. I'm going out of bounds. I got a couple of seconds to go back there and play. And you're going to see that several times here. I go back, I run out of bounds to get behind these people. I lose straight up gunfights, so, I'm going to play dirty if that's what I have to do to win. I was thinking about on this chat, I get a lot of comments about LAN parties. So I thought I'd talk about this. Let's have some flashbacks. Way back, okay, so, for you people that don't know what a LAN party is, or, have never heard of it, let me see if I can describe it. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, before the internet went for public use, it was military use. Back in the 90s, we had what we called LAN parties. Now, this is the day when dinosaurs roamed the earth, when men were men and sheep were nervous, and there were only 2 genders. And by the way, there are only 2 genders. It's real easy. Put your hand down the front of your pants. If you're an innie, you're a girl. If you're an outie, you're a boy. And I can make a whole video on that topic, but let's try to keep this one more fun and uplifting. So, in the mid '90s, networks were starting to get relatively common, and I was flying Falcon 3. I played on CompuServe. CompuServe was a modem-based service like America Online. A modem, little kids, is the thing that allows you to connect a network across the phone line. And CompuServe competed with American Online, and a guy by the name of Victor Zabaduke, went by the call sign Duke, set up a Falcon 3 competitive ladder. And so you start at the bottom of the ladder, you compete, and you climb the ladder. And I still have, we wrote debriefs, right? This was it was so much fun. We'd be like, you know, Maud Dib crawls in his cockpit to face off against Confucius, and you know, we'd write stories about our encounter. We'd post it up on CompuServe, and it was just so much fun. So we then decided to. Oh, by the way, help me! Help me! Oh my God! Send a medic! Stupid voice. And it reminds me of Syndrome on that Disney Pixar, The Incredibles. I had kids. We saw it. I thought that was a cute show. But that's what that voice reminds me. Help me! Help me! So a lot. You know, Falcon was a big thing, and I started. We called it a virtual squadron. Created a virtual squadron back in the 90s, and I invited a bunch of guys over to the house. And it started off relatively small, but we would network our computers together with something called Token Ring. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Token Ring was an IBM invention. Okay, Ethernet was not. So Token Ring, basically, you hook a cable up into a series, and each computer was on the series, and you basically hooked it into a ring. And that's how we played. There's no IP, you know, no TCP/IP, or any type of IP addresses or anything. You plugged it in, used a protocol called IPX, and everything pretty much just worked. And so I would invite people over. We'd play Falcon. We called them fly-ins when I first started. And that was about 1994, 1995. And then Quake came out. Now, for Falcon, I spent a small fortune with Thrustmaster to buy. By the way, this is interesting, man. There was a hell of a fight at the top of this building. And there's one that I'll point out that I thought, you know, I'm like, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so I bought Thrustmaster. They make, you know, they made flight sticks. You know, the right hand was the stick, and the left hand was the throttle. And they also made rudders. And when Descent came about, you know, that's how I played. I programmed. Descent was the first true three-dimensional shooter. You were a spaceship floating in the tunnels, and you were running around killing robots. Well, right here, this is an itch. Right there, my teammate's killed. I revive him, and an enemy shows up and he kills him, but then he doesn't kill me. That's a human, right? So I'm like, really? You blew him away, but you missed me. So Descent was this three-dimensional shooter. So you're floating in zero gravity in these tunnels, and you go up, down, left, right, and then spin, you know, like you're weightless. And I programmed that into my flight sticks, and we played pretty much Descent exclusively this one weekend. Started at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and we finished about 9 p.m. on Sunday. Now, so the way, before I go into any more details on that, the way a LAN party would work is you invite your friends over. Everybody brings their computers over. You'd set up tables, spread out through the house. You know, I mean, because it depends on how many people showed up. You know, if it was more than the basement would hold, we'd stretch out into the garage, and then we would, you know, start moving upstairs. And, you know, the amount of, imagine putting 20 computers in your house, and I'm not talking small things, we're talking like beefy, you know, computers. And we had to run power cords from pretty much every circuit in the house, because if we tried to do it all on one circuit, we'd blow the circuit. And, you know, I remember we were playing one, I'm like, wait a minute, does anybody smell something? Okay, everybody power down. We're on our hands and knees looking around, and we'd find melted power strips. And, you know, we played at our computer until, you know, we were just, you know, non-stop, right? We're talking 36 hours non-stop, right through the night. When we were hungry, we'd either, you know, usually we'd just order pizza. And if you wanted beer or anything, you brought your own cooler. So everybody was sitting at their chairs with a cooler next to them. And we would play until we just passed out. And then we'd get up a couple hours later and just keep playing again. I mean, it was fun, man. And you have a buddy that you killed, and you hear him screaming from the other side of the room or other side of the house that you killed him. Anyways, we played Descent this one weekend, and I'll never forget this. My car was a Honda Civic, and it was a stick shift. Okay, boys and girls, a stick shift means that the car has a manual transmission, okay? That means that you have this thing called a clutch and a stick that comes out of the floor, and you push the clutch down to the left of the brake, and you move the stick into the different gears. Anyways, kids today, man, I don't know. I don't even think they know what a stick shift is. But my car was a stick, and I swear to God, on Monday morning when I went to work, I had a hell of a time, driving, because for 36 hours, I was using my feet to slide the ship left and right. And I'd use my right hand, to spin the ship around, and the throttle to move forward and back. And so all of a sudden, I'm in a car having to use my left hand for the steering wheel, my right hand for a stick shift, and my feet to run the clutch, the brake, and the gas pedal. After 36 hours of descent, I had a hard time driving the car. It was surreal. Anyways, then after descent, came games like Quake and Quake 2, Tribes 2. We played, Hexen and Heretic. The LAN parties were just, it's kind of like what we're doing here, right? Where we're playing games against real people. But it was a social interaction. We smelled each other's sweat. We heard each other scream and cry. We shared beer and pizza. We curled up on the floor next to our computer because there was no place else to sleep in the house. And it was such a social interaction that we really miss today. The internet has taken all of that away. Nobody does LAN parties anymore, very few. There used to be, I'm not even sure they still do it, Quake Fest. We'd go to Vegas or whatever, sit in front of all these network computers. They tried doing internet cafes where people would set up computers in like in a strip mall, and you could sit there and log on. You can see them on some of the old movies. But people would go in there and rent the thing out just to do gaming before all this internet stuff took off. So this is stuff that that the younger generation just never experienced, right? COVID did you guys no favors. I'm telling you right now, where you're sitting there, just in total isolation, using your tablets, your phones to communicate, and you lost the social skills. My son, he's a rarity. He can actually talk to girls, and most girls are really shocked that he can talk to them. Because I told him, I said, look, I said, you have a distinct advantage that you know how to talk to girls. You're personable. You have the gift of gab, kind of like his father, and he can actually talk to them. Most girls, they starve for this attention because women are social creatures. And by the way, there's that damn stutter again. Women are social creatures, and they want now look, I'm not a chick. This is from my wife. Women, not creepily, but women want to be pursued. They want men to go and talk to them and make them feel like they're attractive and that they're wanted. Not creepily. Hear me there. So, my son is able to do that, and so many young men can't. They don't know how to talk to girls. I don't know if it's because of COVID. I don't know if it's just because the only way they know how to communicate is on their phone or their tablet. But this is true. My kids never had a phone. Oh, by the way, man, right here I'm sniping. Some asshole stands in front of my. He gets in front of me. It's here in about another couple seconds. He jumps in front of me and blocks my shots. What the? Okay, kids, plug your ears. Here's some seed talk. What the fuck? Look. If you don't like the way I'm playing, tough shit. This is casual, and I'm trying to rank up this rifle, and apparently this guy doesn't like the way I'm playing. He wants me to play the way he's playing. This goes back to the original rant. Okay. Look, if I'm trying to upgrade this rifle, and the team's doing fine, there he is. What is with this asshole? I finally pulled the trigger, and I guess he gets the feeling. I wish I could kill him, but guys, you know, look, especially in casual gameplay, you know, I mean, this is not like deadly serious here. Let the guy, you know, if the guy's you know, working on his sniper skills, let him do it. I mean, really? Anyways, you know, you know, my son has this, you know, he's got the ability to talk to girls, and you know, they're responsive, right? They, you know, so, you know, Gen Zers out there, rather than me calling you guys the you know, basement dwelling tweaky suckers, you know, get out there, put your phone down, go out and talk to a girl, for crying out loud. By the way, my daughter was like, "What's a Twinkie sucker?" So, for those not to know, it's kind of like when you take an Oreo cookie and you peel it open and you eat the cream out of the middle, and then you don't eat the cookie. That's kind of like a Twinkie sucker. They would break a Twinkie. Twinkies were a golden brown cake with a cream filling. And I swear to God, I knew people. They would break the Twinkie in half and they would suck the cream out, then they wouldn't eat the cake. So that's a Twinkie sucker. That's how they got that name. But you know, back on the LAN party. LAN parties were fantastic. It was a big social event. Games were used to you know, create social events, right? I mean, it was a big deal. My wife would go back to Charleston and see her family, or I would turn her loose with the credit card. Oh, she loved that. I'm like, yeah, just go shopping, right? Go away. Let me do what, you know, what needs to be done for the next 36 hours. And you know, so LAN parties were, I'm telling you, and so help me God, if I could figure out a way to set up a LAN party and actually have people show up and have fun, I'd probably do it. It's some of the most fun I've ever had gaming. More fun than this. You know, to hear people actually scream when you shoot them. You know, when they think they're you know, that they're going to get the shot or whatever, and then they lose the fight, or when you're flying Falcon, you know, to shoot people down, or again, flying Falcon, get 3 or 4, 5, 6 guys, and then you form a squadron and you do an airstrike. I mean, especially with the new DCS game that's out there where you can fly all these different aircraft, I think that'd just be a hoot and a hat. I really do. It'd be a lot more fun than this. And, you know, it's not some mystery, you know, slug on the internet sitting there calling you all these names because, you know, you're not good enough for his squad, or you know, get good, you know. By the way, and I'm about 14 minutes in. One comment that I saw, and this one really kind of ticked me off. One comment, this guy said, "Look, my son is autistic," and he was playing Battlefield, and somebody started ranting against him, railing against this kid because he wasn't very good, and the kid ended up deleting the game because he didn't want to play anymore because, you know, people online are mean. All right, plug your ears again if you got thin skin. Knock that shit off. Everybody's entitled to play this game. I don't give a shit if he's handicapped or not. Knock it off. If you can't, you know, what's that old saying? If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Shut the fuck up and leave these kids alone. Okay, there's my rant. Anyways, I've been chatting a long time. I'm thinking the next video I'm going to talk about. You know, Gen Z, and you know, I get a lot of comments. A lot of these guys are getting butthurt because I call them basement dwellers. Well, preview to the next one. Look, if you guys, it speaks volumes for your generation that, you know, you're being known as basement dwellers, right? It may not be any action of your own, but enough of your generation is doing this that it is creating the perception to the rest of the people that you do. And, you know, if you don't like it, look, I said to one guy, I said, look, if you don't like me calling you a basement dweller, do something to change that perception. I would love to be wrong, right? Go out and do something. Make yourself, you know, be known as something other than a basement dweller, I'll be more than happy to put a video together saying I'm sorry that I called you a basement dweller and that I was wrong. As it stands right now, that ain't gonna happen. And I want the next generation, or next video, I want to talk about generations. The greatest generation who went through the Depression. The baby boomers who went through everything they went through. I'll go into it in the next video. But these people that are sitting there going like, "Boo-hoo! The world's giving me a raw, raw end of the stick." I got news for you, man. It ain't just you. Everybody's had it rough. So, anyways, that's been my rant and walk down memory lane for LAN parties. They were fantastic and such great experiences. It was the most fun you can have. And if anybody out there that lives in the Southeast wants to throw a LAN party, I'll pack up the computer and put it in the car. In fact, I moved to Nashville at one point, and a buddy of mine was having a LAN party in Georgia, and I packed up my stuff and drove 6 hours to his house for a LAN party. And that's where I was playing the red crack word, and the guy was auctioning off the shot. So I mean, they're worth the trip. They are so much fun, and I really wish we'd bring it back. So anyways, I'm 1.5 way through my video again, so I guess that's about time for me to call it quits. And anyways, thanks for listening. I am truly humbled and honored that you guys watch my content, make comments, and yes, I read every single one of them. May not respond to them all, but I read every single one of them. And good or bad, I am grateful that you watched and took the time to speak your mind. So thank you much. Anyways, that's it for this one. Audib, out.